Welcome to Collections of Cinema.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
back to a new episode of
Cock.
I'm a little too loud, so I think it's better now. Yeah. We are back with a brand new episode, and today we are honoring the late, great Gene Hackman, who passed away, sadly, with his wife and a dog of 3, which is still mysterious, and they're still not sure why, how, at least from today's standpoint. And also the Oscars happened. And
The Oscars did happen.
just to quickly recap or say I was delighted with Conan O'Brien's
Me too.
choice of comedy and things to
I
do.
mean, classic Conan, pretty much.
I won't waste time. I won't waste time. Yeah. And also the Sandworm Dune. He played harp and piano.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Can play every instrument.
Yeah.
He went to Juilliard.
Juilliard. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, other than that, I'm very happy with Anora winning basically the night.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and well deserved. And also Substance winning a few things, or I think at least one, and was nominated a lot. That's good for horror. And in general, Flow winning animation. There are a lot of cool little things that...
I think in general, the picks, like the winners were it was very well rounded, and it was very well deserved and unexpected a little bit for the Oscars.
I mean, yes and no. Some were like clear picks where you say, okay, yeah, this is like, for example, I'm Still Here winning Best Foreign Movie. That was given.
But there are so many like classic Hollywood movies that didn't win their categories, and I was impressed with that.
Yeah. So yeah, Gene Hackman passed, and we watch
My favorite movie.
the Royal Tenenbaums. We have the Criterion Collection Blu-ray here, which is a very cool Blu-ray with like this little inlay with a lot of little notes and like a little drawing map of the house and stuff like that.
Yeah. If someone were to ask me what my favorite movie was, I would be stuck between this one and Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie.
It's a great movie. Do you want to...
All around great movie.
Oh, wait. Wes Anderson directed it. He co-wrote it with Owen Wilson. And Owen Wilson obviously is also in it, starring Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Angelica Houston, Bill Murray, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Still, Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson. Yeah, narrated by Alec Baldwin. It's a great cast.
Who is like a perfect pick to narrate, honestly. Yeah. Like his voice is so... I feel like you typically wouldn't think of his voice as like a narrating voice, like when you hear him speak, because he's kind of a little raspy. He's a little... But it just works. It works so well.
The movie came out in 2001.
2001.
2001, yeah.
21. The movie came out in year 21.
2001, and budget of 21 million, which is actually a lot for that time and for a drama comedy. Box office of 71.4 million. So yeah, nice. pretty well done. Do you want to quickly talk about or should we just go through the story? How do you
we can briefly explain the plot in case there's anyone listening who hasn't watched it. But if you haven't watched it, then just stop and watch it.
I mean, it's a typical, it's very typical Wes Anderson movie. So if you are not super fond of his movies, then you probably also won't like this one.
I also think it isn't.
It is.
I feel like it has his style. It's very Wes Anderson. But in terms of like the storytelling, I feel like it stands out. For me, at least. Like when I watch other movies of his, I always compare them to Royal Tenenbaums because I love that movie so much. And I feel like this one stands out so much.
It's, I don't know. His storytelling is always very similar, and like a lot of flashbacks, a lot of looking back to characters when they're kids or younger.
But this one to me feels like, I mean, they try to set it up that way, but it feels like you're reading a book. And I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is basically that, right? You see the chapters, you see like the first few sentences of the chapter, which mirrors the things that are happening in this first scene. So yeah, it is basically told like a story, but like a book. But go through the plot.
So it follows the Tenenbaum family, and we'll just quickly go through the cast of characters. There is Angelica Houston, who plays Etheline Tenenbaum, and she was married, or technically is still married to Gene Hackman, Royal Tenenbaum, but they've been separated for years.
Yep.
I think like 16 years or something. They haven't really seen each other that much. Their kids are Ben Stiller, who plays Chaz Tenenbaum, Luke Wilson, who plays Richie Tenenbaum, and Margot Tenenbaum, Gwyneth Paltrow, but she's adopted. They make it a point,
they make it a point in the movie.
to make sure that you know she's adopted. And then the best friend across the street is Eli Cash, Owen Wilson.
That's Owen Wilson.
Yeah. And the other characters we can get into, but those are it's the family. So essentially, Angelica Houston's character has had many suitors in her time, and she starts to kind of have this thing with this man she's been working with.
Yep.
And
Danny
who's Danny Glover. And Gene Hackman kind of finds out about it and realizes, oh, I don't want that. They're getting too close. And so he tries to weasel his way back in and act like he misses the family, even though he's had no contact with them for like 9 years, I think.
Yep.
And all of a sudden wants her back. And so he thinks the best way to do that is pretend like he's dying. And so he finds this doctor or ex-doctor, I don't know if he's still a practicing doctor, to basically forge the fact that he's dying and says he has like stage 4 stomach cancer or something, even though he's seemingly perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So essentially that's how it starts, is that he weasels his way back in with that and ends up living back in the house while he's recovering.
That's like the main storyline, but then obviously all the kids have stories that intertwine or play into the whole thing. So all of them are basically post their heydays, so they're all slumping right now in terms of their
and I kind of love the deep dive into all of their traumas a little bit, you know, like Chaz, Ben Stiller's character, his wife died the year prior,
and so he
in
has,
a plane crash,
he has 2 kids who he's raising right now, and he's alone, and
he's so terrified of anything that's risk. And so he is just constantly thinking of escape plans and constantly thinking of safety and stuff. So he has that trauma of just like he's so afraid
then Margot
of everything.
Is married unhappily and has not written the play in a while, and just has this she feels stuck in her life, and Richie was a
all-star tennis player,
and he stopped playing and is cruising or was on a cruise.
He essentially stopped playing because he's in love with Margot, his adopted sister. And at one of his matches, I think he had just found out that she was engaged, that Margot was engaged to Raleigh, who is Bill Murray. And it kind of just threw him, and he just stopped. He just kind of dropped everything and stopped playing. So it just kind of follows, and it's sweet because it's, you know, it kind of starts before Gene Hackman's character moves back into the house. It starts with Ben Stiller's character moving back into the house with his kids, because there are no proper sprinkler systems for a fire in his apartment building, and he felt safe at home, even though there are also no sprinklers at his home. And so he went back to his childhood home, and then Margot came back because she found out that Chaz was there, and she's like, oh, we can do that. And she went back, and then, you know, Richie followed essentially. Because Richie only came back because he heard that Gene Hackman's character was
a very
dying.
complex world building in terms of like it's not super long. It's 109 minutes long, so it's a shorter comedy. But it's very complex in its characters and how their relationships work with each other and how they are with each other, and also there's a lot of progression with in the characters itself. And he wrote the thing for 2 years, and it took him a long time to finish it because of the complexity of the characters.
But I like that you feel everyone has such good chemistry with each other. Like I feel like the cast who plays the siblings, you really feel like they're siblings. At least I really feel that.
No, it works well. They're super well cast.
And Angelica Houston is just I've loved her forever, but I think she's just like the perfect actress. She's incredible. And she also falls into this motherly role so well.
Yeah.
And obviously, Owen Wilson as Eli Cash is just, there is no other person that could play Eli Cash. I feel like he is Eli Cash. He makes that character.
Yeah, he's so great in it.
And I don't know, it's so interesting to me that the movie can be so short, but you feel like you know so much about them without it being boring or like feeling like you're getting too much information that you can't process. It's like this perfect balance of learning these characters and falling in love with the characters and their relationships and just understanding them on a fairly deep level, I would say, for a short movie.
Gene Hackman was Anderson's choice for Royal Tenenbaum, with Anderson saying it was written for him against his wishes. And Kathleen Tenenbaum was written for Angelica Houston. And Hackman was hesitant about accepting the role, citing his lack of understanding or commonalities with
Commonalities.
role. Commonalities, yeah. Hackman's agent persuaded him to take the role through his reluctance led to Michael Caine being considered, or even Gene Wilder, which is interesting. Yeah,
Gene Wilder would have been a fun choice too, but I also feel like he wouldn't have brought the same.
Yeah,
Hackman was so perfect for that role.
Yeah. And Alec Baldwin didn't really want to narrate the movie at first.
Really, all these people not wanting to be a part of it.
Yeah,
interesting.
They filmed in New York. So on location, obviously had like a soundstage for the house. And they also filmed in the Waldorf Astoria, the hotel scenes.
Did they ever mention in the movie where they were, or was that just...
Oh, actually, it's not. They filmed, the house is not a soundstage. It's actually a location, Sugar Hill in the Hamilton Heights in Harlem in Manhattan. Oh, that's interesting. So I thought they built maybe like for the inside, they built a soundstage, but they didn't. That's cool. That's cool.
I mean, it feels that way too. It feels like it's a house. It feels like
it totally feels like this house exists. Yeah, no, I totally agree. There is a bird. It's also on the cover. Mordecai.
I was about to give you that trivia.
Oh, that Mordecai flew away and was caught by a citizen in New Jersey who demanded a price for its return, and it was replaced instead by one more white in color.
Yeah, the way that I had it here.
Talk about it in the movie that like, why did this color change here?
Oh, it was mid-filming.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing that says here is that the original Falcon used to play Mordecai was kidnapped. Oh, so during shooting, and held for ransom. Production could not wait for him to return. The bird that appeared later in the movie has more white feathers because it's a different bird. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's also fun. Sorry, I just found another trivia. So there's a scene where when they're like as kids, they do a couple flashbacks of their time with Gene Hackman as their dad. And they are playing with BB guns. Yeah. And they're on teams. And Chaz is on a team with his dad. And that's against, I think, Eli Cash and Luke Wilson's character, but as kids. And Gene Hackman's character, Royal, decides it would be funny to shoot Chaz. Why not, even though he's on his team? Yeah. And it's like a thing in the movie where he says like the BB was still lodged between his knuckles. Yeah. And then you see it. Yeah. The hand that is seen with the BB lodged between the knuckles is not Ben Stiller's, but Andrew Wilson's, brother of Owen and Luke Wilson.
Oh, that's interesting.
When they were children, Owen fired a BB gun at Andrew's hand, and the BB has been there ever since. So basically, Owen's part, like he wrote that into the story because...
Oh, that's funny.
That's really cute.
The movie won some awards, was nominated for a lot of awards, is since been named like a cult classic, and I totally agree. It's for sure a cult classic movie. Critics loved it, fans loved it. There is a lot of other comedy that came after that kind of took its style or tried to adopt its style. For example, Arrested Development was
Royal Tenenbaums as inspiration.
Inspiration, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a great movie. I mean,
do you have like a favorite scene or favorite character?
Yeah, my favorite scene is at the end, when Owen Wilson's car crashes into the house and he runs away. It's a fun scene. But there's one little moment when Gene Hackman brings, like, the dog dies after two boys of Ben Stiller's two boys. The dog dies. And then he brings, like, he buys this Dalmatian from the fire department or whatever and gives it to him and says, hey, yeah, I got your boy's a new dog. And that's a very sincere moment where Ben Stiller says, it's been a hard year.
I cry every time.
And it's such a beautiful scene. It's such a small little
It's
thing,
so beautiful because
so well.
They have had tension the entire movie. There has been no really sincerity between the two of them the entire movie.
Yeah.
Even when Royal is like first trying to talk to them about like, oh, I want to be part of your lives again, it never felt sincere until that moment.
Also, yeah, I mean, Ben Stiller is probably the more negative towards his dad character, where he constantly tells him that he was never there, that he needed him, that he hasn't talked to them for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
even
he's
longer.
kind of the most realistic of all of them in that sense.
And he with his wife dying, he clearly needed someone to guide him a little bit, to help him through that time, and his dad wasn't there for that. And so that's what he's holding over his head the whole fucking time. And yeah, realistically, I mean, that's what probably a lot of people would do. And this moment is kind of the closure of, okay, I forgive you, or I can see that you changed. I can see that you mean that you want to be here for me and for the boys. And in the end credits scene, you see them riding on a garbage truck, like all four of them together. And yeah, that's probably my favorite moment or thing in the movie. Yeah.
I have a hard time picking a favorite moment. I like every scene. Feels so. I have like a romanticism about this movie. I think I love it so much. But the most powerful scene for me is when Richie's character as a Luke Wilson attempts suicide.
Yeah.
Just in general, everything about that scene is so powerful.
That's a great scene. Yeah.
The music, the way it's shot, the lighting, everything is it's so good. It's so well shot. Very, very powerful scene. And I can't hear that song now without tearing up.
The soundtrack in general is very good.
It's great. I also really love the scene shortly after that when Richie and Margot, did I just make that up? For some reason it felt wrong. When they are in the tent together.
Oh yeah. After he left,
released. he left the hospital, and he like goes back home, and he's in his tent from when he was a kid, and just like listening to some music, and Margot just shows up in the tent, and they're just talking but also not talking, and it's like everything is said in that moment without it having really been said, and you just like know. You feel what they're thinking and you feel what they're feeling, and it's just I really like that scene.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's hard to choose. I like every scene in that movie. It's really hard to pick.
Yeah, it's the thing is, I love Wes Anderson for his style, for the way he narrates, the way he writes characters, and Tenenbaums is probably one of my favorite of his. I would put that plus the Fox. What is the Fantastic Mr. Fox and the Budapest Hotel? Those three movies I would put on one pedestal. Like those three movies for me are like the pinnacle of Wes Anderson. And then right after would come the Darjeeling Limited, Rushmore, Bottle Rocket, of course. Yeah. That's just my thing. That's it. Let's go to movie of the week.
Movie of the week.
Okay. So, I'm going back a little further. So, Office Space. Mike and Dave Need the Wedding.
Need wedding dates.
Oh, Need Wedding Dates. Yeah, sorry. Lost Highway. A Complete Unknown, and Presence.
What was Presence?
The not horror movie, but the with the ghost who's in the house.
I liked that one.
Yeah, for me.
Ooh, that's hard.
For me, it's Lost Highway. It's simply I love David Lynch so much, but I also really enjoyed Complete Unknown.
Yeah, Complete Unknown was great. For me, it's
I also really like Presence.
Yeah, for me, it's honestly Presence.
It's a great
Just
movie.
because it's so original, it's so different. It's not, sure, A Complete Unknown is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal movie, but it's so.
I feel like
it's a music biopic, from just
Unknown,
a movie standpoint.
Bro, also A Complete Unknown
done.
only shines because of Timothée Chalamet.
I wouldn't say only shines,
Mostly,
but I think it's the whole cast is fantastic.
No, obviously, but he plays Bob Dylan so fucking well,
he does.
And the rest, like the story itself, is not so interesting in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but it's a music biopic.
No, I know, but if I would compare it to Walk the Line, which is super
compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody
or Bohemian,
honestly,
right?
That's even better.
I don't know the. It's interesting. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as compelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as deep.
Yeah, for me, it's Presence.
Yeah, I would choose Lost Highway for sure, but that's fine. Yours is Presence and mine is Lost Highway. Yeah, Presence is a great movie. It came out last year. Yeah, last year, 2024, and it was shot or made by Steven Soderbergh, who is known lately for his very artistic, experimental, I would almost say, approach of making movies.
Mm-hmm.
He is a massive Hollywood director, but he chose to shoot this movie as a POV of the ghost with an iPhone. But he made the Ocean's movies. He made Logan Lucky, Contagion, Traffic, No Sun Moves, The Informant. Yeah,
that actually ties in super well because Ocean's 11, by the way, with Royal Tenenbaums, Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson, and Bill Murray all turned down parts in Ocean's 11 to do Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, and Presence is a cool movie. So the whole movie is basically really set in only one house, and there's this presence, this ghost. Yeah. We don't know anything about it, but
you just know it's in the house because you're essentially the ghost.
Right. We are seeing the movie or the story through the ghost's
But
eyes.
it's not a horror movie. Like it's not.
It has some horror elements, but not or more suspense.
I would say more suspense elements.
Yeah.
But it's not. I wouldn't say it's a scary movie. It's not scary to watch.
It's emotional.
It's more of a drama.
And it's a family drama.
It's so well done. It's so well done. And, obviously we don't want to give too much away from the story, but a family moves into a house. There's a ghost in the house. You are the perspective of the ghost as you watch the movie, essentially. So you're kind of watching the family as the ghost is watching the family. And the daughter is the only one at first who really senses that something else is there. Yeah. And clearly this ghost is very drawn to her, and it's kind of just unfolding why that is. And it's so good. Yeah. Highly recommend.
It's a great movie.
It's very good.
It's a great movie. Lost Highway, David Lynch, as I already said, it came out in 1997. It's one of the 3 LA themed movies of David Lynch, and it stars Patricia Arquette, Bill Pullman, and Baltasar Getty.
Mm-hmm. Also a great movie. I mean, for me, I'm not a huge David Lynch fan. I wouldn't say fan. I think that his work is artistic and brilliant, but it's hard for me to watch sometimes. It's sometimes just a little too out there for my taste. But I really liked Lost Highway.
Yeah. It's a typical David Lynch-esque movie, very bizarre and experimental and very intense, brutal, and some very terrifying scenes, to be honest. But there
are some really good suspense moments where you're really not sure what's about to happen. Mm. There's that one scene in the the dark hallway. He walks out into the dark hallway, and you're just expecting. You're waiting for something that doesn't come. And
I really like it. Also the psychological elements and there's a lot to it, and it's a great movie.
Yeah,
I really like it.
Yeah.
Also great cast and great music. There's great music in it. That's it. Royal Tenenbaums. Do you have like a fun Leterboxd review?
Oh, I didn't even look at Leterboxd.
I have one.
Okay.
Let's shag ass. 5 stars.
I think I watched that movie the first time in 2008. And it was like instant favorite. And I watched it at least 3 times a year.
Anybody interested in grabbing a couple of burgers and hitting the cemetery? 5 stars.
That's a good quote. That's another quote. I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Your mother was a terribly attractive woman.
Yeah. Terribly attractive. Gene Hackman delivers that line so fucking well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the scene that you said, the scene with Richie Tenenbaum in the bathroom while Needle in the Hay plays powerful stuff. It gives me chills every time. Yeah.
And the one that you said, I've had a rough year,
Yeah.
Dad. Wes Anderson wants me dead.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great movie. Do yourself a favor, watch it. You miss out if you've not seen it.
Absolutely.
Alone for the ensemble of cast and just for the style, the aesthetic, even fashion. Like there has been fashion lines fashion lines inspired by that movie. That alone tells you a lot about it. And it's just a fun, cozy movie that has some very serious undertones, but in the end it's still soft and just, it cradles you to sleep at the end. It's like no sleep.
It cradles you to sleep at the end.
Cradled by the movie. You feel like this warm thing in like it ends in a happy way, and it's nice.
It just all comes together so nicely. Yeah.
That's it. If you want to support us, if you like the multicam setup, then please head over to our Patreon. You can do a free tier, you can do a small tier, a big tier. If you want to know what's going up, then go over to our Blue Sky. We are still tailoring to Instagram. You can head over to Instagram, and please support us on our YouTube. We're trying to build that more because it's video and it helps us more to gain new viewers. So please head over to YouTube and just like the podcast and maybe comment something about your favorite Wes Anderson movie,
or your favorite scene from Royal Tenenbaums, or whatever,
Right.
or what you would like us to watch next. We
Right.
maybe we have it. We can do it.
And that's it.
That's it.
Bye.
Goodbye.